we have now pulled in the information directly into Data Manager. Now we've done nothing else with this data. It's really just in there ready for us to transform, to cleanse, to map, etc. So our next step is to go through each of these data sources and essentially do just that, to transform, to map, to cleanse, and then to merge. So our next step here is to go into each of these. So I'll go into SCCM first, and we already fetched the data. We could do any kind of transformation we'd like if you wanted to. You don't absolutely have to do any kind of transformation, and my file is simple enough to where I don't actually need anything transformed, but you could transform any field values in any way that you have an option to do so here, replacing with null, replacing strings, trimming things, pretty much anything you could think of you could do here. So I'm going to leave mine at default. And the next thing I'm going to do is configure the mapping. And this is really just mapping your values from the CSV to the values of data manager objects. And a lot of these are ignored because there's either none created for them or didn't find the right one. But in this case, I could just go through and see if I could find the correct one. So RAM, I don't have anything for. So I might just say create new. We're going to call this RAM, create. And now we have a new attribute for RAM. That one should be set. Perfect. Let's see if I have one for model. Model name, that works. I'm going to map it to that one. Last seen. Maybe there's scene. Let's see if there's any kind of date. Maybe, nope, updated won't work there. So last scene, again, I might create a new one for this. Call it last scene and create. And anything we're missing, all we have to do is create. The last thing we have to do here is make sure that we set a key or a primary key, and if you wanted a secondary key. And for this, you want it to be the unique value. This is the same thing with any kind of assets import, unique value that you're importing. So in this case, I want it to be serial number because that's the unique thing that I have inside of all of these devices. And it's also going to be the thing that it's looking at across multiple different files to match things up. So if it's looking across SCCM and Intune and there's a common serial number, it's going to match those up. And what it's going to do is treat those as one device. So that's what we're trying to accomplish here with the primary key. I don't typically set a secondary key. There's really no reason to do that. But once we have everything mapped, and I'll leave some things blank, all we have to do is click Save Mapping. You can go through and see you're mapped, you're missing, you're new, you're changed when you do re-import. And that's going to be very relevant later if you have a lot of assets coming in and you wanted to see things that are missing, for example, or things that are changed or new. You could see that context when you rerun your import locally. Real quick, I've implemented Jira for over 200 companies. By far, the number one reason teams reach out to us is because they built what they thought was a great solution, only to realize that nobody actually ended up using it. And if that sounds familiar, that's exactly what we help you fix. We're currently taking on new projects 4 to 6 weeks out. And if you want help implementing Jira in a way that your team will actually use, hit the first link in the description below.